If you haven't done so yet, please pause the video, read the problem, just to make sure you have a sense of what's going on in this case. This problem wants us to figure out the mass of an ox, but it needs the mass in kilograms. And it gives us a bunch of different conversion factors, most of which, or probably all of which, we haven't heard of. So we're going to learn how to set up what the hint calls a chain link conversion scheme in order to answer this problem. Now, when you do a chain link conversion, it can be bewildering, but what you're looking for is the overall given mass or given quantity, whatever it may be. Now, in this case, the mass of this ox is 28.9 piculs. I'm probably not saying that right, or maybe it's piculs, but that is the given quantity, so we're just going to simply write that down. So we have 28.9 and then this piculs. Now, when you look at the series of conversion factors that is given, you want to find the one that contains piculs, of course. And that's the first one. Right here it says 1 picul is equal to 100 jins. So that's the one with the picul in it. That's the one that we're going to use to make our first conversion. When you make a conversion, you always want to multiply by your conversion factor. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to multiply by that conversion factor. And the biggest question is how to set up that conversion factor. And there's a very simple sort of guiding principle. And it's as follows. If you are starting out with a particular unit, such as piculs, then you must make sure that you sort of replicate that unit in the denominator of your conversion factor. So in other words, if you're starting with piculs, then you want to put the piculs in the denominator, not the numerator, in the denominator of your conversion. So we're going to write piculs down here. And the reason that that is effective is because then you're taking the piculs that is given and dividing it by the piculs in the conversion factor, and they ultimately cancel each other out because a picul divided by a picul is just equal to 1. So it's unitless. So that's the right way to do it. And then look back at the given conversion. It tells us that 1 picul is 100 jins. So we'll write 1 picul on the bottom and then 100 jins on the top. Now, as I go along with my conversions, I like to cancel out conversion factors. So I'm going to cross off the piculs, and right now that leaves me with jins. So we're going to set up the next conversion factor. Now remember, you're going to multiply by that conversion factor. Always multiply by your conversion factor. And we look at our current unit, which in this case is now jins. So using that guiding principle, if you have jins as your unit, you must put jins in the denominator of the conversion factor. So we're definitely going to write jins down here. And then we take a look back at the given conversions. We can see right there that 1 jin is equal to 16 tahils. So I'm going to write 1 jin on the bottom, and then above that is 16 tahils. And I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly either. So now jins divided by jins is unitless, and now we are left with the unit of tahils. But we're still not done. We're not yet in kilograms. So we look at the next conversion, and we see that 1 tahil is equal to 10 chee. Okay, so now we're going to multiply by that conversion factor. You're probably catching on to the rhythm of this problem. Since we have tahils right here in the numerator, we have to put tahils in the denominator of our conversion. So we'll write tahils here, color-coded in yellow. 1 tahil, again, is 10 chee, so we can write 1 tahil, and then on the top is going to be 10 chee. Now we're going to ultimately run out of room with this chain link conversion, so let's see if we can kind of shrink this down. So now we're in chee, and we want to continue on. We can see that 1 chee, well, now it says chee. I don't know if that's a typo or what, but 1 chee is now equal to 10 hoons, probably because it's singular chee. So 1 chee is 10 hoons. Let's set up via multiplication the next conversion. We know that we're going to put chee on the bottom. So 1 chee is equivalent to 10 hoons. So now we're in hoons. We can go ahead and we can cross off the chee, leaving us with hoons. And we're not done yet. So 1 hoon corresponds to a mass of 0.3779 grams. So let's shrink this down even further. I hope you can still see this on your screen. We're going to multiply by the next conversion factor right here. So we've got 1 hoon on the bottom, and that's going to be 0.3779, and that's in grams. So we look carefully, we can see again that the hoons are going to cancel, because we've got hoons in the numerator, hoons in the denominator, they cancel out. So now we're left with grams. Now we can do one more conversion because we need the mass in kilograms. So we're going to try to squeeze this in. And you probably have learned via the standard system of units in this chapter that 1 kilogram is equivalent to 10 to the power of 3 grams. Again, just take careful note of how we set that up. The grams here and the grams in the denominator of the conversion are going to cancel out. So now we're going to pick up our calculators here, and we're going to do 28.9 times 100 over 1 times 16 over 1 times 10 times 10 times 0.3779, and then be careful on the last conversion, you're multiplying it by 1 over 10 to the 3, and that is equivalent to just dividing by 10 to the 3, so you can think of it that way. And you're going to be left with about 1,750 as your answer. So 1,750, that would be in kilograms. That is the mass of the ox that apparently you are going to be shipping home to your astonished family. So there is the correct answer.